Welcome back, everyone, to the DreamHack Open here in Sevilla, Spain. If you have been tuning in, then you may have been surprised or not if you were 30% of the Twitch chat according to the vote beforehand, because Movistar Riders have walked away with a victory in map number 1, and now it's time for Overpass.
Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised. I think the Riders have gone forward and basically just been so aggressive. Their CT side, they were fighting versus Big and mid all the way through. I do think, I still find it a bit weird that Big didn't really go to the A side at all throughout their whole T side, and I think it was noticeable. Like, it was very easy for the CTs to sort of predict where they were going to be going. And then onto the T side towards the end, again, the Spaniards were just able to read into things. They had some great individual plays. Steel was playing out of his mind. Easter in the first half as well was just stick golping. Both of them ended with over 30 kills. So you can't really complain if you are a Spanish fan in this audience or at home. And if you're Big now, you're going into, okay, a map that you don't necessarily play too often, but one that they're probably still well prepped on. But you've just lost arguably your best map. It's either that or Dust 2, which was banned out very early on. So you go into this going, okay, well, we didn't win the map we were supposed to. Are we going to be able to win the map that we're sort of questionable on?
That's the difficulty going into this. If you look at the Riders roster, how you were just talking about Steel and his performance, a lot of people were looking towards him when he came onto this team, because not only his past experience and maybe not necessarily being a star on other rosters, but here coming through and having that potential to also elevate the rest of the team. Looking at players like Lowell, who have had potential to try and move on, maybe make an impact to elsewhere, and having that kind of experience with someone like Steel may allow the opportunity for them to continue on, not just within this open, but just make a name for themselves even more in general.
Well, yeah, he's the man in the server who's been in a major final. Like, this is not going to be the biggest day of Steel's life, but at the same time, he is with a brand new roster. He's one of the players who's maneuvered himself within so many different rosters, different teams, and he's also one of the most likable people in the universe. So if they go and win this map, I can't wait for an interview with him afterwards.
And we are going on to Overpass, everyone. Very excited to be seeing this here for Big and Riders, considering that you can really get some quick turning situations on this map. But it's the pistol round to kick things off. Movistar Riders will be over on the T side, and it's already 1 down for Eves.
Yeah, it's going to be an early trade. Now, Zontaras, he's renowned for this level of aggression, the sort of loose cannon within this Big roster, and that's when they have Smooya on the roster as well. So that's kind of mad. Like, definitely some explosive players here. It's only going to be the 1-for-1 trade, but more importantly, he gets a fair amount of information with his aggression. So the CT side are at least going to know that they can't just dedicate all of their players over onto the B site. The Ts themselves also being fairly patient, maybe expecting a little bit more to come out from the German organization, like to face off against them earlier in the round. Instead, they baited a few players away from the B site, so what do? They go and head towards the B site.
They have seemed to fare better when they slow things down in the beginning portion of the round, and that's exactly what they did this time without the full commit over through Monster. But that's exactly what they are going to do at this point in time, moving in with the utility they have available to them, and it's the pistol battle that ensues. Next picks it up with the help of the flash from Tizian, and now it's a 3v2. Both of them held over here onto the site. Mopaz finishes that one off. So Tizian rotating over from the water, but he falls into the water for the time being as Riders pick up the first round.
Yeah, they're very reliant. I like how they always seem to set Alex up with a P250, and he always seems to do work with it. 4 kills in the pistol round, a flying start for him. A great trade in middle as well, because if Zontaras gets away with that early pick, it's a very different story. They're not going to bait in anywhere near as many rotations. The likelihood is we would have seen 3, maybe even 4 players on this B site as they went to push in. Instead, we see Big try to get aggressive, try and face off, and they lose every single time to that P250.
Going into the next one, though, a lot of Big still working with the pistols, Deagles specifically, and some scouts galore, too. For Riders, a couple Galeals, and even some Mac action. Over in the tunnels is where it all goes down, though. Alex picks it up with the AK, and everyone else is just going to back off for now. 1 down is enough for them to deal with. Moving over from the spawn area too, it looks like it's going to potentially be another B play this way. They have to be careful with a couple of the CTs that are hanging over by Squeaky and Construction. Keeping their eyes on the canal. And into the site they go. Flash to try and kick things off, but Tizian recovers from that immediately and gets the Deagle pop. The rotation around Killer for the T's allows them to get onto the site directly, but there's still such a heavy CT presence from Big that's proving very difficult to deal with. Steel and Lowell are all in their lonesome, trying to make their way over from Pit, but it's a hard angle to take. Smooya gets that kill with the Scout, and Big are just looking for one more to pick off, and what do you know? Of course it's Steel, but he falls, and this is going to be around to even things out.
Yeah, good read coming in from Big. They stack up the site, they get the rotations early this time. Tizian also with a couple of sick 1-deeks to start things off, and from then on, it didn't really look like there was any sort of plan for the Movistar Riders. They were struggling to gain any level of space, and well, now they're going to be forced into, well, a force buy of their own. It's going to be a few pistols, a MAC-10, looking like they're just going to try and burst in towards this B site. Don't have much utility to play with, so just going to try and completely overwhelm Next, who was ready for it, but maybe not expecting that many players to be that close, and now the T's are just going to bombard this site. Tizian goes down as well. A rifle also retrieved. Tabson, however, with the AK at the back of the site, should be able to weather the storm.
While that split off worked effectively at the start for Riders, it's still enough time for Big to rotate the rest of their players. Easter takes out one though, so that's one way to try and gain a bit more control, but everyone has had to back off of this with no eyes exactly on where Xantares and Smooya are going to be rotating from. They've made their way directly onto the site, looking over towards Short. And the continued back off from the T's as they rotate over into Short A. And the bathrooms too. So completely different side of the map for them to be going into for the first time.
Yeah, I like that they've gone through long. It means that Smooya's not going to be able to spot them out until maybe it's too late, and Xantares has to make a call as to whether or not they gamble up, and they're not going to. They're going to keep a player over to this B site. Smooya, ready and waiting, manages to connect the first headshot. Still plenty of time, and he's just going to start wrecking face. Only one man left, trying to bait out the time a little bit, but Steel hits that first and spots out Xantares as well. Going to try and bait him in with a bomb plant, and well, that's almost exactly what he's done. Xantares in a more open position, looking to peek round, but isn't going to find those shots. Both players on shaky ground at this point, even hitting a slight dink through the drop, but not quite enough. Xantares survives with 22 HP, and Big, they get their second round onto the board.
Whew, that was tight. That was very, very tight there. And you saw Steel was reading it pretty effectively. You saw exactly where Xantares was, but it's just difficult to land that. And both of these players being so effective in the 1v1 scenarios. The aggression of Xantares, the accuracy of Steel in the clutch situations, but nonetheless, Big have pulled ahead 2-1, and Movistar Riders have been forced once again onto these pistols. And with the pistols, they move up through the tunnels. So Smooya, plenty of targets for him to find, 2 of them connecting as he's brought down to 49. And Steel, as great as he is in the clutch, the 1v5 here on Overpass, with the bomb being directly under some CT's feet, a little too difficult for him to deal with.
Yeah, much better start for Big already. And they've got the finances as well. That was a bit of a farming exercise for Smooya to just make some extra cash for the AWP, which he could buy now. I'll be interested to see if he is going to opt to upgrade it or just keep with the MP9 and have that bit of a bonus round, which is not something they were able to achieve in the previous map at least. So he'll be able to buy it all into the next round anyway. So this round, even if Movistar Riders win, it doesn't really change anything. Like, Big will still come up with a purchase.
You go for the 2-3 split currently, but Big have also split up their resources. Last round was the first one we really got any A play whatsoever, and that seems to be read somewhat by Big, who have now positioned them over on that side. But it's B where the action is coming down at this point. Next, and Tabson picking it up for the CT side, but just leaves Alex and Lowell over towards that site. The bomb was dropped away, so that's not the priority right now for the play, as they still have 1 minute and 10 seconds on the clock to make something happen. But the smoke off over in the canal is going to make it difficult for them to move into. They have one coming in through construction, and right here in the toilets, Easter finds Smooya, knocks him off. And suddenly that side of the map is looking a bit more like a 1v1 situation in which Xantares comes out victorious.
Yeah, this is now Alex hoping that they baited some sort of rotation, but they really haven't. There's going to be 3 players ready and waiting for him on the B site. Shoulder peaks coming out. Tizian, nice shot from Alex at least. Looks for the man in heaven, gets the next shot, but Tizian is there to put an end to that streak. The CT side get themselves another round, and the T's, well, I think they might be taking a tactical pause. Not going to be able to do anything in this round, however. It would just be some pistols, but maybe needing a moment just to try and weather the storm that has been a great early start from Big.
Riders just have a hard time when they end up getting outnumbered early, because if you look at Alex in those final moments, yeah, he was able to get a couple kills and even the extended one over in Heaven, but there were just too many CTs still up. And when we saw them in their best form during the first map of this series, it was when it was just the direct one-to-one trade. And if they can keep that pacing back for them in that way, it'd be great. But on something like Overpass, where a lot of them are funneling into the sites, it's proving very difficult for them to find those scenarios in which they can advance.
Yeah, I think as well a lot of that comes down to like minimal utility in a lot of these scenarios. Like you want to be able to force people out, especially on the B site. Got a couple of nades. I'll be interested to see where these go. You'd expect the most common position would be roughly where Nex was on the boost spot. Smooya, however, is going to spot them coming through towards the connector, and with his AWP with some support as well, I don't think they're going to be able to get anywhere near him. tabseN just making sure that that orb does not fall into enemy hands and just giving a chance for Smooya to shoot fish in a barrel.
Plenty of targets he finds through Squeaky with this angle, and he's just going to continue sitting there until someone punishes him for it, which no one is doing so far. Despite the fact that he gets knocked down to 7 HP, he's already taken away 3 of the riders on the opposite side. The Lowell and Alex, once again, just directly onto the site. Nex and Tizian working in tandem to put this into their pocket for a 5th victory for Big.
Yeah, the flawless one of that. A great anti-eco round from them, meaning that they're going to have so much finances going forward. Finally, Movistar will get themselves a purchase onto the board. And it's going to have the AWP behind it as well. A slower start from a lot of their players. Essentially only Alex with any real frags on the board, and the majority of those came from the pistol round. Still slightly in favor, actually, the odds of Big, so people still believing that they will be able to turn this, even going into a map choice that is not necessarily theirs. Steel patiently waits for Zontaras. He's made those aggressive peaks quite regularly, even though we're so early on in the map. Because of that, they'll get the early punish. Will they expect Smooya, though?
That's the question. Can they make something of this and read the rest of it properly? tabseN getting up close and personal, but finding his own demise in the process. And there you go, Riders picking up their 2nd round of the map so far. And that's exactly what they needed to get smiles back on their face. Feel like this is possible to turn this around, especially considering they were somewhat in a deficit in terms of utility.
I felt like that's one of those rounds where in Smooya's head he's going, wait for it, wait for it, wait. Ah, too late.
Not always going to work out in the way that you want to, but hey, commend them for it. I'm sure Big are still feeling all right about this with 5 rounds, and even though they can't come through with as many nades, they are starting to throw out what they do have.
Yeah, they've also invested into a double orb setup as well, so clearly feeling that the pick play is working for them. tabseN will have that secondary and actually a boost angle into the connector, but they've got to be careful because the majority of the Ts are looking to make their way out Monster. Mopos in the last round, able to get a double entry. If he can get past Tizian, there's a chance for him even to get the double onto the players boosting, but they've stopped their boost, and in fact, they've combined to open things up with 2 opening picks, leaving the Ts to just scurry away.
Great timing from Tizian, looking down, making sure he was completely hid behind those barrels before he popped up for a couple shots. Was able to pick up 1 frag, and 2 have been cleared over on that side. Steel is holding on over the opposite portion of Overpass, but nonetheless, the rest of Riders are still kind of hovering over the bomb with no clear opportunity to move into either of these sites. In response, Big are just going to keep setting up their CTs directly onto both of these, unsure of where the play will be coming from, but feeling fairly confident in the way they outnumber the opposition and have the double op set up into the 1. But scopes for everybody on Ryder's side, as the Kriegs come out once more. Only a couple flashes and a smoke available to them if they want to try and make something happen with this. And those are with the bomb directly, so they might try to lead in. Smooya knows exactly where they're coming from, though. Over on this opposite side, tried to get Steel. Not going to find just yet. There's a kill onto tabseN from Easter. Steel picks one up on the opposite side, but takes a lot of damage in the process. Site getting cleared off 1 by 1, but unfortunately for them, Big are able to finish it off and pick up round number 6.
Yeah, the time ended up being a bigger issue for them as they switch things up quite late. And although they do get an entry into the site, a couple in fact, it wasn't quite enough. Big again are going to break back and get themselves a 6th round onto the board, start to rebuild that economy, which was just damaged. Of course, the T side still with maximum loss bonus, so they're going to be able to bombard this big side. And of course, we do have to remember, even on Mirage, both of these teams were much more confident on the CT side. Overpass, in its essence at least, is an even more CT-sided map than the previous. So I still expect Movistar Riders to have themselves a good CT side, but they need to at least build themselves a buffer of 5 or 6. Otherwise, I think that Big will have enough to take it over the line.
All the more reason that Big do need to try and push as much forward here on their own CT side before Riders can take control of that wheel. Riders find themselves again in a player deficit once Mopaz has been taken away. First time we're really seeing an early rotation of the bomb towards the A site. Of course, not going to be any major commitment until they can clear this out. There's a couple CTs sitting over in the restrooms, and they want it to be all to themselves. Centaurus with the M4 unfortunately finds the barrel of Easter, but he's okay with the trade that they got in the process because they still outnumber 4-2. As the rest of the T is moving down short, just go ahead and dig their own graves. Lowell wondering if he can pick somebody up here. Tabsden is directly on the outside, so he's just waiting, but Smuyat's on the opposite end too. Both entrances covered by CTs, and one has been fallen on down as Lowell tries to get another one with the AK, throws some shots out, but the smoke is a little too unclear for him, so Tabsden clears it off, and that's going to be round number 7 for Big.
Yeah, that double orb setup is really tough for them to deal with. That was 4 kills between the two of them, and the majority going the way of Tabsden, but they've just started to really work these picks very well. The aggression of Big has been, for the most part, successful. Like we saw Zontario's catch off. In fact, one of the rounds they actually lost was because they did get caught with all their aggression. As mentioned already, lots of loss bonus for Movistar at this point. And even still, the confidence of Big is clearly there, just getting these early picks, looking for the spot. Long control is at least going to go the way of the T side for now. But you can see Smuyat making his way forward. They're going to have double orbs currently both on A. This is not something you see too often, but they're really struggling to deal with it. These two players just doubling up, and I think Smuyat's going to get the timing absolutely perfect. Can he get away, though? Steel should be able to get the trade, holding with the Deeg, and, well, Tabsden's found another, in fact, another 2 in the meantime. And once again, 40 seconds or so into the round, it's seeming like it's already over.
The setup from the CT side is exactly what Riders didn't want to run into when they fully committed over to the A site portion of the map, moving up towards short again, but it's just Lowell over here in the bathrooms, gets taken out. It's tough. They did decide to switch up their strategy, and that is one thing. Riders are attempting to be responsive, but Big have been great at reading the plays that are coming out from the T side and positioning themselves effectively, especially with that double op setup on a part where planting that bomb really requires an extended amount of map control.
Well, the thing is as well, it's all well and good like having strategies in your back pocket, but when Big are just fighting you at every single occasion, like they'll go for the pick in mid, they'll go for the pick on long, they'll peek into short, they'll peek into toilets. We've seen them peek monster, peek short as well on B, peek into the connector. Like the Movistar at the moment have to be so aware of so many angles that I think it's actually starting to really sort of play on their minds in a lot of these early round scenarios. You could see them when they were around the toilets area. No one was checking long because both players wanted to make sure they had a trade into the toilets because there's been such regular peaks that when Big do switch it up and be a little bit more dynamic, as we saw in the last round, no one's ready for that. No one's ready for those sort of peaks. And then the same thing even happens with Tabsden finding another couple of kills. Now the double orb setup has disappeared, unable to retrieve both and not willing to invest the extra money into it, but again, this is a round where there's only going to be some pistols, money not going to be too good, and having a double orb setup may have actually been to a detriment of them here.
Fairly confident in the op that they do have up to because Smuyat has really been heating up. Centaurus is somebody who has also showed a lot of aggression, and taking him off immediately with the CZ could fare well for Riders to at least get the plant, and that they do. Of course, lots of firepower over on the side of Big for the retake potential. And they're going to go ahead and get the incendiary down over on long, which does force Easter to back off. Difficult for him to find an entryway, and A-Main also finding utility to go ahead and cover it off. Can he find the tippy toes of Steel? And he does. Instead, right into the chest it goes. Tabsden and Tizian finishing it off to clear this and get the defuse for Big to walk away with round number 9.
Yeah, that's one of those situations where they go for a fast round attempting to get the bomb plant, but in reality, there was so much utility left in that retake for the CT side, I don't think there was ever a chance. And they managed to put down 3 smokes and incendiary and just basically start defusing that bomb and wait for the Ts to either get aggressive or just allow them to defuse it. Of course, the bonus for Movistar is the fact that they do get themselves a very good buy into this. They've got the AWP, they've got a couple of Creeks, some AKs, and a hell of a lot of utility, but once again, we're going to see a change. And I've always liked this position. You boost up, peek in. Zontaras is going to be the protection of Smooya, who has that angle well prepared. The problem is there's 2 players coming this way, but they don't even look for Zontaras. Maybe a bit of a misplay. Smooya now has to be a little bit careful, but at the same time, his teammates are playing a very good distraction game as he still peeks towards the other side of the map.
Lowell down to 45, and everyone's starting to join back over on Ryder's side. Still have to worry about Tizian. That's Steven moving more forward onto the platform to watch over by the water. And Nex as well, ready to rotate over from the walkway. If you're looking at Smooya, he's still got that op on him. Really effective in being able to connect during the entirety of this game. And Steel doing what he does best. And now it's the 3v3. Tizian's been taken down. And Riders are going to go ahead and pop on into this. Only one more op for them to worry about. Get the bomb planted. And still has some utility if they do need to flash off to try and keep this at bay. But it's only one more that they're trying to find over from Big.
Yeah, and Tizian, Tabson's not going to be going for this. They don't have the finances to just throw away an AWP over to the other side, so he'll be looking to save. And again, it seems like when things do get a little bit tough for Movistar, that's when Steel actually steps up to the plate. An important entry. There was 2 players on that site. He quickly diminishes it down to just Tizian, who basically had to make a hero play, and that entry pretty much decided the round. Other than that, it was a fairly even scenario, again, with similar circumstances to what we saw before. So at least the Riders, the Spaniards, they've managed to get back onto the board. They've got their 3rd round. As said, if they can get to 5 or 6, this definitely isn't a done deal. Like we saw that yesterday, even on Nuke, when it was a Big facing off against North. Like, until the match is over, even if it's like, what? I think they were like 5-0 up. They then came back to a 9-6, which was a very good half for them. So it's definitely possible that Movistar Riders managed to turn this back around. And with now the CT side money on the brink of being destroyed, if they can win this one, I'd say 5 is almost guaranteed.
And then on the opposite side, if Big can win this one, there's a chance that they start to continue running away with this first half. There's still some money in the bank for some of the Riders, but a couple of them are, or at least one particularly, fairly low for Mopaz. Zentaris is taken to that same angle that he did in the past where he was able to pick it up, and he does get another one on the FAMAS, just very different angle that he ends up playing within that area. Still takes a lot of damage over from construction as Lowell finds him, but turns away to find some more smacks into the side of his head, brought all the way down to 1 HP because of that nade, and Nex able to finish it off here. 5 still standing for Big side, and they're going to be rotating over onto the sites themselves and preventing a plant as Mopaz clears away Zantaris. But it's Steel moving in tandem with Easter towards the A site. There is a Tabs in there lying in wait with the op as he brought it back to the table for the double setup, but Steel sees him first and burns him down in the process. This gives somewhat of an opening for Riders to start moving up through A main, and it's Tizian that's going to have to move away from Bank and entrench upon this territory. Does get right into the sights of Easter, and Steel rotates around. Bomb has been dropped, and it's not going to be possible for Mopaz to move into this, so Mopaz might try to pick somebody up in the process or just keep themselves safe with the AK.
Yeah, 20 seconds left. Of course, they've got the loss bonus behind them, so money will not be an issue for the T side going into the next round, but hey, Big again. They managed to turn this back around. They get their 10th onto the board, hit double digits already, and yeah, this man here, a great hold from Tizian. He, more importantly, finds the healthier player first, and that makes that clutch fairly easy for him in the end. Once again, there seem to be a few problems, though, for Movistar. I'm really disappointed by the fact that Zontares has been able to get a kill from the same spot like 3 or 4 times now. Like, those stairs are something that they just keep forgetting to check, and he just stands there and waits for them to peek into the angle. And that's not the sort of space you can give to someone, or to anyone, let alone to Zontares. So that a little bit disappointed that he's been able to do the same thing quite a few times. They haven't really been checking that connector properly. We even saw the round where Smoothie was just able to stay in there for an awful long time. And once again, speak of the man, he's managed to get the opener with the AWP. Steel, someone who we've highlighted as been one of the sort of glimmers of hope for this Spanish side, is dead already.
Steel is exactly who you want to still be alive at the end if he's outnumbered by Big. So taking him off makes this, in some ways, an entirely different round. Not as much confidence from the other players to necessarily face off in those situations. And with that, Riders slow this down a tad. Smoke off over on the canal. And that's going to keep things at bay with about 45 seconds onto this clock. They still have the weaponry to boot, but not much utility except for Lowell. Try and follow up on that. There it is, the pop. Tizian gets it onto Mopaz, and this is starting to go more and more in their favor.
Trying to brute force their way through. 30 seconds left on the clock as Low tries to get something done, but it's the two Ts of Tabson and Tizian who've made that site hold very easy. Of course, a little bit of luck, it has to be said, from Tizian to hit someone with his grenade as he threw it through. But Eastern out, just trying to hold on to his AWP, and they're not going to allow him as he resets the shot. It is going to be 11th onto the ball for Big, and this is looking like a completely different team to what we saw in the previous map. This is dominant.
That it is. This is what some were expecting from Big going into that first map of the series. And right now on the CT side, looking pretty good. I do expect Riders to be able to, regardless of how this last round of the half goes, pick up some more over in the second half, but it's a heavy deficit to be in, even if it does end on an 11-14. Going through the incendiary right now to try and get those shots. Zentaris says that was a bad mistake, my friends, because I'm here for the cleanup. And with that, that's just going to stall any of the possible plays that Riders could have brought out at this point.
Mopaz doesn't even have armor in this round, so he literally has to hit a headshot, otherwise he's dead within a second. And a 4v2 in shoes, just attempting individual plays at this point, just walking into sites, facing off against players who, well, at least in this map, have been of a higher caliber. Easter and Lau going to be the only two remaining, and Tabson just holding onto the cross. Actually doesn't get the shot off. Quite surprised, and maybe there is a lifeline still here.
How long is that lifeline? That's the question. Long enough for them to reach over onto the A site where no one is currently occupying from Big.
But look at Zontaras. That's the thing, you can see that the Ts are very confused as to why there's no one else here, and he's managed to get the timing almost perfect. Lau is in the corner, so he can't be spotted from this position, but this is all just going to come down to timing. Does Zontaras check? He should see the gun barrel, although it may have just been shrouded, and Lau, he's going to peek out and get that shot. They now have an opportunity, especially with both players coming in from the same angle. Easter gets another connection, and now they just need to try and work out where Nex currently sits. Still coming in from the same position in the 1 versus 2, kit in hand, but just running across, and I don't know if he was even communicated that Lau was over towards long. A great hold in the end. Lau steps up, and that will be the end of our half. The second, it'll be coming up after the break.
Welcome, everyone. We are amidst our first BO3 of the DreamHack Open here in Spain. And while the Movistar Riders were able to come through with a nice A play there at the end of the first half, it's Big that have been running away here with Overpass. Not even their map pick, but they don't seem to be fazed by it.
No, it's seeming quite likely at this point that both teams are going to take the opposition's map choice. 2 P250s alongside Kevlar given to Tabson on Zontaras. The sort of mini raid boss play, and just look how much aggression there is towards mid coming out from Movistar at this point. They were expecting this to be an A play. A retake B is not something that you really throw in too often. Now they do have a kit available to them, and if they can swarm through the connector, there is a possibility here. But the problem is the Ts have managed to get so far out onto this site without Mopaz noticing at all that the rotation might be that little bit late. They should finally start to see a move coming in from them, but as said, they're going to have to just basically swarm through the connector and hope that they're able to hit their shots.
Already positioning themselves onto Cat, the site, keeping their eyes on every entryway as Squeaky Door opens and the CTs funnel through. Luckily for them, they're able to crack this open with some kills for themselves, and maybe they can use this outnumbering to go and walk away with the round. So far, so good. Next, is over there in Monster, and he's gonna have too many heads to try and pop off. So Riders continue on to the momentum they build towards the end of that last round, but at least start things really nicely here, the CT, where they are probably going to be stronger.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic retake. I didn't expect it to be, well, firstly, I didn't really expect it to work, but I also didn't expect it to be that clean when it did. They managed to get back in, find every single kill, even damaging themselves a little bit in the retake because they were so much of a swarm. And now, well, a bit of a half buy thrown in from Big. They know that they're going to get that extra bit of loss bonus. Oh, I always love it. The 5-man boost, give them the chance. Oh. He spotted, though. I think they actually look back in the other direction and goes, no, not facing off against that. Alex realizing that, well, they're probably still in the spawn at least for a little bit longer. That's a shame. It's always something that it's thrown in very, very rarely. But when it is, you kind of hope it works.
It just makes me think of that Homer Simpson gif where he goes out of the bushes and then says, oh, no, I don't want any of this, fades back in. But in this case, it's Evan. That could have just really started to put things in the favor of the opposition. But nonetheless, Alex already into a firefight, but Big are paying the largest price for this over on Long. So 2 standing, Tizian and Zantares for Big, with the bomb in their hand. Nonetheless, though, Riders have already rotated over to get a spread across both of these sites for the defense.
Yeah, it is still worth remembering that this is just a round where Big are hoping to do damage.
Right.
A bomb plant would be more than they would have expected, and even just 2 kills would force enough rebuys that they're going to feel comfortable going into their buy round in the next. Tizian hoping to find something here, but Steel lurking in the corner. He's going to leave it just on to Zantares, and before I can even finish the sentence, he's already dead. 11-6, Movistar start the grind, but well, this is where it should truly begin, as they'll be able to get pretty much a full buy into this one. There won't be an AWP, and sure, Tizian has to drop down to a Galil, but other than that, it's all fine and dandy. And on the other side, well, mostly FAMAS's, a couple of M4s, a lot of utility at least, which is something the CTs do have an advantage in, but this is still a round that could easily slip back and, well, basically force them onto an eco.
Definitely still ramping into those heavy purchases. Slower play from Big this time. They've dropped the bomb over in tunnels and are waiting to see if they can clear out. The CT's pushing aggressively through the canal, allows the flash to line it up for Mopaz for the FAMAS kill. With Tizian out of the way, Riders are going to continue occupying this site, setting themselves up at barrels and keeping their eyes on the canal entryway. Big, on the other hand, starting to line up some of their utility to attempt to move through it.
Well, that's the thing, like, you don't normally expect players to push Monster, right? It's such a risk, and next almost goes down. A smoke going to be put in its place just to stop the T's making any sort of play just yet. They do have a couple of Molotovs, a decent amount of flashbangs, and some smokes to try and make their way into this site. Zontara is also probing for information, but the CT's just denying him any presence with utility. The problem, though, is there's still 45 seconds left. These Molotovs will fade in a matter of seconds, and then they've only got 1 more left to try and slow this T-side down any further. However, Steel once again finds a secondary pick. The spray down does actually give 2 kills back. However, that final Molotov will hold them just that little bit longer that the rotations can come in, and Easter's going to be in a great spot.
Plenty of tagging up onto all of the members of Big, which leaves it open for Easter to go ahead and clean one off. Next, and Zantares very vulnerable, rotating over from short. Zantares can pick it up onto Mopaz, but there's still Steel and Easter.
Oh, no.
Hanging on to the back of the plat, and there you go. Another one over here for Big. He does
just has to get the bomb. All he has to do is get the bomb. He missed it. He's going to connect onto the second player. It's into the 1v1. So close, but Steel does it again. Oh, that was unbelievable. They were planting the bomb with 5 seconds left. If he gets that kill, it didn't even matter what happened there. He just had to run away, but the spray was just a little bit wild and ends up actually killing the player in the back. And you could see almost just a little cheeky grin on Steel's face, knowing that he kind of got away with one there.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And that energy, that's what can try and carry you around. Great play from Steel here, and even getting the pistol shot for the finish off.
Yeah, all he spotted was 1 foot, and that was enough to just give him the kill. Both players low, of course, and I'm surprised they even got that close, especially with the smoke that they threw down for the cross being like with a slight gap in it. Zontares used that to his advantage, but it easily could have gone wrong the other way. Now the T's, well, only one player survived in the last round, so no surprise. They're going to force some money into this. They've still got the loss bonus behind them, which will in fact be maximized going into the next round, so they will have a full buy nonetheless. And again, this comes down to how many players can we kill? How many guns can we remove from the Movistars? And hey, can we sneak this round? Can we steal it?
And that's why they're deciding right at the top. They did go a bit more aggressively into their position to see if they could find any CTs that were lurking over towards connector, maybe construction, and now getting that boosted angle to look and peer into the site and attempt to feed information to the rest of the team to rotate in. Tabson gets the first sights onto the CT, but takes damage in the process that is finished up by Low. So Riders are going to just continue holding on to this strong, as the bomb has been planted, so Big get that for themselves. And they still have 4 up currently if they can win out in the dualies, but there's still a lot of firepower over for Riders. Yeah,
but there's also utility missing. Luckily, Alex has been able to find 2 picks back in. Zontares is going to have to pull off something very impressive, and well, doing that with the Galil would have been a miracle play. And with 4 players surviving, that was a good round in the end for Movistar. Sure, the bomb goes down, but as already said, there was going to be a buy for Big anyway. Like, that's not the end of the world. It would have been far worse if 3 players had died and they hadn't got the bomb down, because then that would have been more of a diminishing purchase for Movistar. But either way, the Spaniards, they have a little bit of reserve cash, but this is where they truly get pressured. This is where the orb comes in. This is where the SGs, the AKs can come in across the board. This is where Big have every single piece of utility. And well, basically, this is where the second half truly begins.
Just shows all the more reason why Riders really needed to pick up those first 4 rounds of this half. If it is going to be their stronger side, then take full advantage until Big are able to get that full buy. Now, things are gonna get interesting. Confidence in their loadouts for Big, they start to move a bit more aggressively. A couple of them positioned to move through construction onto the site, and of course the utility is gonna be blocking off, just trying to get as much information as possible for Big. And even with AT landed over towards playgrounds. It's actually 3 CTs on the side of Riders that are watching over on that site, maybe expecting Big to play in that direction now that they do have more resources available to them.
Smooya has the bomb. He's got to be really careful here. If he gets caught, that was round, like right there. If he gets caught, this completely wrecks the round for Big. So I'm not a massive fan of him being alone with the bomb, but he gets away with it, so it's forgivable. They've also faked out a little bit of utility, but again, it's going to be the CT side to kick things off with that opening pick. Zontares, who's been one of the people they've sort of struggled to deal with in this early T half, down and out. And now we get to see what else can the remaining T side players do.
So far, so good, but not reason to get too comfy. Oh, there's the shot right through the canal. Smooya taken out, drops the bomb, loses the op, and next, this is not the place for you to try and completely grasp this into your favor, because Riders are going to be closing these walls in upon you, put you into your casket, and that round is done.
Yeah, considering how the scoreline has basically gone within this match so far, bear in mind this was 11-3, 11-4 half. They're starting to grind this back. Also just the aggressive positioning there. I said that that sort of push could have ended the round just by dropping the bomb. Instead, Steel just takes the initiative, goes all the way around the back. He knows that they can't be anywhere else because the time is ticking fairly low. And those 2 kills, well, that was it. There was nothing they could do. They were constantly trying to fight back from that position then on. 2 rounds now the distance. No surprise, Big take their first tactical pause of the game after losing 5 rounds in a row. Every single round so far on their T half. And Overpass is definitely one of those maps where it's very easy to run out of ideas. There seems like there's a lot of things to do on this map, but most teams fall into like the B aggression, just taking map control early on, and it's very easy to just get to a point where you go, okay, I don't even know what to do at this point. We're just getting wrecked all over the map.
If you've been getting wrecked across the map, having a Galil and some more pistols isn't exactly the position that you want to be in, but Riders are more than happy to punish them for what they are equipped with. Tabson is the first to fall on the side of Big, and now through the smoke, Steel starts to creep on through, find some safety. There are a lot of T's lurking around in these toilets. Throws down the nade for him to have to walk through, which does a lot of damage next for him to follow up onto it. Zontares loves to get that headshot though, and he does manage that. So 3 are still up for Big to try and make a play.
How has Tizian got this far? Oh, it comes to nothing in the end, but he managed to walk all the way through the B site. You can see the T's have actually opted to try and make a change in that direction because of how far he's got, but it's still one of those situations of fool me once, and I don't think it's going to happen again. They already know that he's here. Easter from above with that AWP, and yeah, not going to be missing.
You got somebody up in heaven, you got somebody down on the site, and that op is just going to keep connecting. So Riders bring this into double digits to 10 for themselves. It's 11 for Big. Only 1 round difference between the two. And let me remind you of a little context here. This is our first best of 3, which means whichever team ends up losing this series will be done for good in the tournament. And Big are down a map against Riders. So if they don't manage to bring this back into their control, this could be the end of the road for them.
Something drastic needs to change. One of those things is preferably next remembering to pick up a gun. Just have to go all the way back to the spawn. But we're starting to see that Movistar Riders that we got on the first Harbor Mirage. They're getting confident. You can see the aggression coming out from Steel. You can see it happening also for Easter on that AWP. And when they get into this zone, Big have been really struggling to actually deal with the amount of map control that's being taken away. That's one of the reasons this map can be so hard, is because there are many avenues where on both sides of the map, the CT side can take away map control. And then you almost get funneled exactly where they want to go. You have to start shutting this down aggression fairly early on in the half. Otherwise, well, as we've been seeing, the confidence can get too much. Smooya, he's looking to try and catch Eastern now, but the spam from his teammate actually might have given the opportunity. Good shot, though. The Brit kicking it off. Gets that opening pick. Rotation already coming back in to try and give Steel some support. He's been a struggle to shut down, but they've at least managed to force him back to the site.
Taking away that op could be really big news. And Alex just looking over in that direction and finds the danger side of Big. A can be very impossible to take without map control, but when you're starting to clear the CTs as you move up through short, then it becomes less and less of a problem. Tried to hop on up, but that's a difficult position to be in when you're mid-jump there, so Steel punishes him for that choice. And Tabson picks it up onto low, but it's the 2v3 as Riders attempt to hold on the CT side on the A play. Bomb has made its way directly onto the site. Smoke down to take away that vision from Steel. Maybe walk into the back, but you don't even have to shoot him in the back of the head.
He's got the bomb.
Gets it too. There's the bomb over onto it. 8 seconds left on the clock. And Overpass gets the bomb with the incendiary. Fire under his feet, and the 1v1 ensues. Riders with the time clock going on down. Pick this up to tie it up 11-11.
What were they doing? That I don't understand what they just did. Like, not only like this from Tabson, the bomb rolls in. Then you see Zontaris, Smooya try and retrieve the bomb. He burns alive, and that's round over. Just that one kill changed it, and yeah, Big have thrown that away. That was a scenario where they did very well. They managed to pick off players in the site. It took them a while to isolate Steel, which was definitely a problem. He actually plays a bigger part than you might think. He stays alive so long that in the end the clock is very low, and well, the remaining man burns the clock down. I can't believe that has just slipped away, and I think you can see Movistar Riders are actually going to take a moment, take a pause, because that was such a ridiculous scenario. I'm sure they've probably been thrown off themselves.
Yo no sé, mi amigo, yo no sé. That was not something that you would expect from Big when they have this pressure on them. Oh, they gotta try and turn some around here, but it's hard with what they're dealing with. Just Deagles, P250, you're going into Riders who have the M4s and still an op over for Easter. Not much utility available to them to try and really slow down, and obviously the utility working for them very well towards the end of that last one, but it's not necessarily necessary for them to try and secure this against Big.
Much more passive in this round. I think they know that this is more of a minute investment. Sure, the AWP is in play. That was saved from the previous round, but other than that, it's mostly just some pistols, so they don't want to get close and personal. They don't want to get in the faces of these players. More than happy to just sit back, and Steel actually going to go for some late aggression. He's got to be careful here. He has been caught a couple of times. The majority of the time he's been successful, though, and this is more of a bait and switch. He'll be sat back. Easter's going to be the one holding the angle for the shot, but instead, they start a bit of a face into long. And they've got to be careful here, because even if they manage to get onto the site, with 3 players around that toilets position, it can be a little bit tougher. I like the boost. Unfortunately, there's no one there.
Hey, good look over there, but no one to find. Next does get sought out by Easter. Riders have something going for them as the T's attempt to push up through long. They begin raining down with the utility, but Alex caught them on the angle as they tried to rotate into the site itself. And that's going to be the quick burn down. Riders 12 to 11, which, yes, looking at what Big was working with going into that round, you expect it in that scenario, but still, great, calm, cool, collected nature of Riders. Maybe they can try and continue it here, but it's going to be difficult.
Well, they've won 8 rounds in a row. I don't really see why not at this
Not a single one
point.
dropped in this half, dude.
And you can see, well, the odds have been in Big's favor pretty much all the way through this series, even after losing the first map. And yeah, they've finally now gone into the favor of Movistar Riders, and I agree. I agree at this point. Like, Big are yet to show up in the second half, and it was the same on their T side of Mirage. It was very underwhelming, disappointing for a team of, well, even of their caliber, even of their current ranking. It's not really acceptable. The T side has been as it has. They're going to try and sell a fake. This is elaborate, to say the least. They're going to send 2 players almost in as just bait to try and force the issue on this B side. The rotation starts to go away. They've got to be careful. They need to deal with Tabson first. As the push comes in on the other side, it's going to be a missed shot as well that actually gives Zontaras some space. And Easter, this is so risky. He doesn't really need to try and fight this back just yet. His teammates are going to be there in the retake, but they still haven't dealt with Tabson, who can be that man to stab them in the back.
No more steal for Riders. Little knockdown low, too. Big have moved pretty directly here. And yes, Tabson is going to be key in seeing if they can continue with this execution. They do lose a T in the process, as it is a 3v3. Lowell takes more damage, and they're all backed up into the back of the site. Try and get that angle. Zantares with a couple frags. Alex gets it on to Sevilla, but this is going to be Big, tying it up once again, 12 to 12. This is their first round victory on the T side.
And yeah, and it was a super risky play as well. Like, they're throwing the 2 players in like that. That could have easily set up a 5 versus 3 retake if it didn't go well. Luckily, Tabson is able to just be in the back of their minds, and even better so, Zontaras just killed everyone. Like,
yeah,
that's
Zontaras
one of those rounds.
Do that then.
Yeah. He gets 4 kills going into the A site, a lot of them entries as well. So now is the chance for Big. It's been a good fight back from Movistar, but if they lose this round, their finances are going to be in the toilet. And of course, the loss bonus is still with Big. Nice double nade as well to start off onto Lau. He's going to be down to just 42 HP. And actually, one thing that we've said about Movistar is they've been very, very good with their utility. Well, this time, they don't have much.
Whether it be on the T side or the CT, Zantares has loved working over in connector. Not able to necessarily get the same effect as he was in the first half from that positioning, but still, if anything, just being there enough, and he is going to move with Smooya. Try and gather some information to see how many of Riders have occupied over towards long in the toilets. Previously, they have poured a lot of resources into that portion of the map. Big have the bomb over on their team.
What? Ooh, that's a bit messy. Mopus should have had that kill clean, and instead it leaves an opener. There's only 1 man on the B side. Luckily, Steel is in with a fairly quick rotation. He's got to try and get this timing right, and he's going to do just that. He gets both kills as well. Steel again to the rescue for Movistar. And now the remaining Ts have to try and fight this back. Steel still combining with Lau, and it leaves just Nex alone on the site. The Brazilian has joined the ranks of this squad, and well, I think he's going to be a fan favorite in no time.
When Steel is up, he is at him, that's for sure. Here on the Spaniard squad, this Brazilian coming through and really making an impact for this team, not just with his individual skill, but a sense of leadership from what we've heard that he's been able to bring. Timing so great as he popped out into construction to clean that off. Woo! And now Riders are once again in the driver's seat, 13 to 12. And it could have been extremely detrimental for them if they lost that round. As you said, not enough money for them to rely upon if they lost their weaponry.
Well, let's just look at even just stats. Like, Steel, top fragger, top ADR, most assists, least deaths. Like, I don't really know what more you can ask for. Even if you just look at score, he's at the top by an absolute mile. Like, he really is like leading by example, and it must be so wonderful to have someone like that in your roster at the moment. It's not like other players on his team are performing badly whatsoever, but the amount of impact that this guy is having for his team at the moment, it's just unparalleled by anyone else in the server. And as said, like, that was one of the highlights of Big, was the big 3. Well, Steel has been the big man. He's been better than all of them.
That is just nuts to think how much we were thinking, oh, Big should be able to just on their veteranship, on their big three, on the experience that they have, and the fact that they're a team that you expect to be moving on and competing over multiple days into day number 3, that, hey, they should be able to get this. But Riders have put them on the back foot for the entirety of the series, putting it to overtime in the first one. And now Steel's got his eyes over through the smoke to see if anybody wants to make their presence known.
This could be a bit of a problem. Sure, they have long control, which will be great for the retake, but the T's are going to be able to get this bomb down without really any resistance from the T's. They went for a bit of an aggressive play towards long, and this is given an opportunity that kind of wouldn't have been there if they had played more towards a standard setup. Now they have to wait for the rotation of their teammates. Of course, very little utility weaponry. There's, well, basically nothing in this round for Big, so even a bomb plant is a success. But with 4 players still alive, with the Deagle in the hands of Zontaras, there's still possibilities here, and they need to get a move on. Nice shot from Next. Smoke going to be going down onto the bomb, but the bomb's starting to tick very quickly indeed, and this is slipping away. They have to get onto the defusal. They're losing so many players. Mopos, he's going to go down! Big steal the round away, and that is a big mess up from Movistar right at the 13-13 marker. Their money's going to be sent down the toilet as well. That could be them letting the map slip away.
That is huge. Down to the wire in the final moments for Riders to try and pick up their 14th round, but instead, it is Big that was able to clean it off. Whew, that was super tight there in the end. And now, not so much utility over on the Riders side. They're working with a lot less of an advantage going into this, and it's continued to be tied 13-13. A risky play from Big last time, but it worked out for them.
Well, I think what the CT side are doing right now, maybe a little bit more risky. Oh, no! I think it's starting to get to them a little bit. These are some mistakes that we haven't seen from them. Still goes down, Alex goes down, he's still at least able to get a trade, but I think it's too little too late. Lau has to be a hero here, the only man defending this B-side. He's hit the Tink through the smoke, but fairly low on ammo, doesn't want to give away his position, has to just sit there and try and tap away. He's doing a hell of a lot of damage. In fact, even finds the kill and steals the reloaded gun. Maybe there's a chance for him here. Next going to be peeking wide, he gets the shot as well! And Lau leaves Smooya on just 9 HP, and the flank coming in. I think he might just have done enough. The Brit needs to turn his gaze in the other direction, otherwise Easter should have him dead to rights, and he may even just be trying to be a little bit smart here. With the rotation potentially going back, he's going to take it! Lau, what a hold on the site! And Easter is going to close out this round. That never should have gone away of Movistar, but somehow they survive.
The barrel play ended up working out. Say, hey, if you're going to hop on that side, I got you. You're going to hop to me through the smoke, I got you. You 1 shot away from death at 9 HP. Don't worry, this bullet has got your name on it. Such a good play coming out from Riders to be able to clean that up. And with that, they do take a pause. 2 rounds away, not just from victory on the map, but within the series in its entirety. But if we've learned anything from these last succession of rounds, as it's rotated back and forth for the past 4, Big would not go down without a fight.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Big, from the way that they've been playing, could have easily closed out this map. Like, that was a 3-on-1 on the bomb site, which they failed to take through. There was the round where they had a 3-on-1 where they burned to the bottom or trying to retrieve the bomb. Like, this match could be over, but Movistar are somehow managing to grind out these rounds. They come in with what is another pretty poor buy over on the CT side. Utility missing again. They're relying on individual brilliance to try and take them home, but maybe that's what they've got. Almost gets the second, but that trade is worthwhile for Big.
Definitely so. You take the op away, and now Riders, with already lower purchase power, are really suffering from this. Steel going down too is going to be really hurting them as they continue on through this. Lowell able to pick one up as he rotates back over to his favorite positioning of their last round. But some more firepower comes on through. Zantaras and Smooya have both been tagged up. Another one eliminated off of the board, and Smooya working with the SG against the FAMAS and the M4 on the opposite side, starting to come through and trying to continue with the cross. But this is a slow movement from Alex into the site. 1 connected shot is enough for Riders to put this at 15, but Big go ahead and take the bomb over towards A site and do the best they can to set up for the 1v1 that is soon to ensue.
Well, this is what Smooya wanted to do in the last round. Completely reset the situation. And now he has to try and work out where Alex is coming from. I think he'll probably realize quite soon that he is going to be coming up from the B site. Smooya's so low on HP that he almost has to try and find this duel early, catch his opponent off, and Alex, he needs to check this angle. If he doesn't check, he could be going down. It's the instant headshot from Smooya. A clutch when needed. Not even really a celebration from him, just knowing that he's kept them alive in this map. Evens things up, and just look at the economy of Movistar. Okay, maybe there's a little bit of a celebration. Just holding off until he knows it's over. But this was ridiculous from him. Able to find 3 kills when so desperately low, and that had to be an instant headshot. Anything less, and he's dead.
That was still looking super close there. Oh, Riders, even though they didn't have everything available to them that they wanted, so much going on over on the big side. Smooya pulling through very effectively for his squad. And it's tied up back 14-14. Our first map ended up going into overtime before Riders were able to take it. There's a very strong possibility that it could happen again. The only thing is, if you're looking towards the money though, it can be a difficult situation indeed.
Yeah, this is a horrible position for Movistar. They're going to have to make it work with pistols, which is not something they've really had to do throughout this half. We've seen them at least have some sort of buy all the way through. They've been very good at grinding the rounds out, and so far the rounds have been going just backwards and forwards. So maybe they can make this work again, keep the pattern going, but this is definitely going to be the toughest one. Utility is going to be at a bare minimum as well. Now they do have at least the stack on the right side of the map. They're going to leave Steel as the lone defender of A, in an aggressive position as well, so he can call the alarm bells if anything does go wrong. In reality, again, we basically have to look at Big and say, okay, are you going to make some mistakes here? Because there have been plenty.
And that's what everyone said going into this entire series, was it would be dependent upon mistakes that Big were making. That being said, I think Riders have taken a lot of control into their hands.
Oh yeah,
it
they played very well.
Yeah, not the whole story here, but when it is 14-14, then those are the openings that you're looking for. Big, much better equipped going into this scenario. Riders trying to find an opening. That aggressive positioning they had right there at the beginning was a symptom of their loadouts here, but nonetheless, they were forced to go ahead and back off into more traditional aspects, but Mopaz does get one over with the Deagle. So with numbers in the favor of the CT, can they try and clear out the Ts as they come in, but they are just too strong of a force when collectively rotating together. So Tapson and Centaurus putting in the full aspect here with the bomb plant for Big. Wondering if Riders can try and have some kind of positional advantage, but that's just difficult to imagine.
Yeah, this is a scenario where there's no real winning for them. They're either going to allow Big to get to 15, or they're going to do it and throw away some weapons at the same time, because there's no way they get back into this site. I think there's only a Mac-10 to be retrieved on the body of Tizian as well. Like, that's why he was on the other side of the map. He was just trying to hold players in and did a very good job of it. And Big, a calm and collected round. They managed to win that one relatively easy, don't really break a sweat, and they're now one round away from taking us to a third and final map.
And they get to hold on to 3 of their rifles. 4 weapons in total, but I mean, that's the important part here. So Big, now to map point, 15-14 for them. They have to be able to put this map away to stay in the series in its entirety. In another scenario, I would say Riders should be able to tie this up and put it into overtime again, but just looking at the weaponry they're able to bring out, once again, it's not going to be as strong as the opposition. Still stronger than the last round that they had, and they're bringing out things like the Scout as well to try and put some kind of an impact. But it's difficult when you're on the back foot going into match point.
Well, I'm fairly certain this is the final tactical pause that we will see in this whole match. Both teams utilizing the full amount, which I have to say as a Counter-Strike fan, that is something I love to see. Make sure you use your tactical pauses, and while for Big, it's the most important round of them all. Keep themselves from going to overtime. More importantly, keep themselves in the tournament, which easily could have slipped away from them over the last few. It took a big pistol round win to make it 13-13, and that was where they made their resurgence. They got a large amount of money. Steel this time in the connector. Not something we've really seen at all from this side. And they're not going to check it properly. Centaurus, that is a mistake. Like, again, we speak about it. Like, Big are very good at seemingly making these mistakes. That's ridiculous, though. Tizian with a nice timing shot will even things up. Even still, though, if there's one man you don't want to give a rifle to, I think it's Steel.
Man, that's the kind of stuff you have to see to even it out. You see the Xantares ends up going down, and then it's the shot through smoke that ends up getting the return. That's not exactly the most reliable thing that you can really count on happening, but it does indeed happen. Alex starts to go ahead and call that T rotation from Tizian. Riders still do have 4 up, even though Alex is looking somewhat unhealthy over at 13 HP. The bomb itself going through short. And it's Nex and Smooya that are accompanying it to its final destination.
Oh, the timing might work wonderfully, though. Easter's making his rotation. The Molotov going to fall in. He now knows that the push is coming in this direction. Smoke actually doesn't extinguish the flames either, so he's not going to be able to make any sort of aggressive play, and the T should be able to get into an afterplant position. And the reason that's such a big problem is there's no real utility to retake this. The Ts know this. They're going to go running in. Lau! He gets a nice kill through the smoke. Leaves Nex as the only one defending the site. Tabson rotating in as well. And a 4v2 ensues.
My, oh my, 4v2 indeed. Nex and Tabson trying to put this through. Easter on the scout. Scouts out the opposition. Alex with the cleanup. And ladies and gentlemen, everyone that is watching, we are going to have another overtime for map number 2 of our first best of 3.
Yeah, I think they deserve it as well. Like from 11-3 down to bring it up to them being 13-12 in the lead, and it took a mistake off the back of pistols for Big to even get back into the second half. So, and a big clutch coming out from Smooya. You can say that for both sides, though. We've seen some incredible stuff out from Steel. A nice shot in that round as well from Easter. I think the biggest resurgent in that second half as well was Lau. Like some of the plays he had on that B side were absolutely unbelievable. But it's all null and void now. Nothing that we've seen over the past 30 rounds could decide these two teams. Nothing plays a part in what we're about to witness. This is the chance for Movistar to eliminate Big from the tournament, or Big to take us to a third and final map, and then it really is up in the air.
Both of these teams picking up exactly 11 victories on the CT side and 4 on the T. So if you were wondering if this was evenly matched, that'll give you the information. Lots of action going over here on the B site as the shots must be had through the smoke. Xantares is the first one right off the back of that flash. Finds a lot of damage in the process, but nonetheless, 2 frags over into his pocket. Tabson picking one up too.
What's going on?
Means that Big are feeling a bit better about this situation. Yeah, what is happening over here on the site? Easter finally makes his way on over with the op and says, where did all my friends go? Bomb gets planted, maybe he can find a shot. He gets the double with the op. And as wonderful as that is, Big still do walk away, but man, if that doesn't tell you how intense things are getting here at the end of the map, then I don't know what does.
Yeah, a sick shot, but ultimately meaningless. One for the highlight reels, maybe a little bit later on, but the trade comes in. And the round, more importantly, goes the way of Big. They're going to take one on that T side. As we've seen, both sides have been fairly dominant on their CT side. He's still looking to get a bit aggressive. It's going to be the tag hit. Needs to try and retreat back, and the flashbang going to leave Tabson without a chance to trade the damage at least. It leaves the B-side defense a little bit thin, and that's actually where the majority of the players currently sit. Re-aggressing as well. They expect this from Steel at this point, though. He's done it quite often. Next, already low, so he's going to go down. But in the meantime, the Ts have opted to make a play towards that B-side. However, we've seen how good Steel's flanks can be. The question is, can he get there quick enough?
Riders have to pick up something over here on the CT side if they want any chance to bring it home. Mopaz knows that someone is over on short and tries to fire some bullets through as he crosses by, but of course not enough to go ahead and fully connect. Finally finds it as he's sitting over waiting in the water, and Smooya all in his lonesome. 3 moves on up and finds a bullet in the head as Low finishes that off as Riders bring this 16-16.
Yeah, they equalize things, and they do it quite easily. In fact, not a single player going down. Again, the aggression of Steel allows him to have not only the information, but he gets a pick. And well, as we've seen, when they've been pushing into that B site, it's been a bit of a struggle for Big. I think they've had a lot more success heading towards A. Although the thing is, they found a lot of openers. They're going to go for this once again. They're going to set Smooya up, try and get a kill into heaven. Doesn't seem like there's anybody there. There is somebody jump spotting, though, but the train is going to be a bit of a tease for Smooya. Well, I think they're just going to wait patiently for a little bit, hope that somebody walks into the crosshair. They desperately need to find an opening here, give them an advantage, because even with an advantage, they've had little to no success. Steel once again, though, with some support from Easter. They have to be careful of the playground position. Shot missed, however. Now Steel somewhat left out to dry, doesn't even get a kill. And that mistake might be what cost them. Still, Easter's going to try and fight this back.
See what happens when Steel goes down early, but the rest of the team's also been in decent form. Unfortunately, Easter, another one you're relying upon to try and bring this in the favor of Riders, also goes down. Bo's had some pop-offs though, and he's got that stolen creeps that he's working with as Big start to move into the site with the bomb directly. They clear off the site. It's just Alex that's going to be rotating in from short. Mopaz all the way towards the back. Alex gets the two. Wait a minute. Hold up real quick. Riders make this a whole different story. Tabson goes for the plant because that's all he can do at this point, down to 13 HP. Riders, you gotta get this CT round for yourself, honey, because that is the only way you're gonna be able to do this. A nice shot from Mopaz and Movistar Riders. My, oh my, how you have impressed us all in the audience so far. 17 to 16.
That was so sick from Alex. Like that, anything less than what he just did, they lose the round. If he goes down to any of those players, if he's unable to connect, it is a problem. I imagine that might just be to try and get over some of the stress that's currently in the camp of Movistar, because, well, we've seen the reaction of some of the people in the crowd already.
Oh,
we've seen the reaction also from the face of Tabson when they lost that round. That was a big slip up, a mess up, and now they go onto their CT side. Now, one round is all Movistar need to be safe. Two, if they're going to take it over the line, but we really haven't seen any T-side prowess from either of these teams so far. In fact, it's still possible the Big take all three and they take the map.
Yeah, I would argue that if Riders did lose that last round, they would lose the entire thing because of the difference in the CT performance to T. So it's still even scary the fact that they dropped one of those 3 overtime CT rounds. If Big managed to make something work now that they're on this opposite side. But that's not to say that Riders haven't been looking in good form throughout this. Even on the T side, they should be able to pull something off. They just have to be very careful when doing it. Utility to kick this off as most of the Ts are over towards Monster. Very risky for them to try to make that play though.
Well, it looks like they are just going to try and effectively trade here. Flashbang's going to be going through. Tizian has been pretty damn good on the other side of this smoke. It does seem like quite a break since we've seen them on this side, of course. He's got to be careful he doesn't get caught. In fact, Mopaz, he is going to get the opener. Flashbang, not going to net anybody as the T's have opted to fade away on the other side of the map. Eastor's been probing his way through. Now, there's still 2 players here. Smooya maybe trying to bait them a little bit into coming in this direction, as there's still potential for Big. 40 seconds left on the clock as it does start to get a little bit delayed, and Zontares is actually going to make his way back in the other direction. It seems like they've got the wrong call here, as now the T's are going to go barreling into this A site.
Great choice from Riders. They make their presence onto A site known, and Smooya, all he can do is try and smoke this out the best he can before he falls to the wayside. Zontares and Next, we got to come back to where we started, but there is plenty of opposition here to give us the answers. Zontares doing what he does best over from Bank, trying to cash this out as much as possible through the smoke, but there's still some utility available from Riders. And with that, they start to slow things down here a tad after that plant. Take out Zontares and Next. I don't know if that's going to be enough going against the 4 Ts that is split off into long and short to keep their eyes peeled for the 1 CT that will be rotating towards the bomb itself. He sees him over on short. He finds another one onto long before he falls. And now Riders, at the very least, have secured that they will not be knocked out in this first overtime.
Yeah, they've kept themselves that safety barrier. Mopaz, though, a great shot to start things off. And he's one of those players that, as said, like, he's not been necessarily fragging the best for his side, but the level of impact he's been putting in on the rounds where he does has been really high. Like, we've seen some impressive opening kills, especially onto that B side. And considering how much of a struggle they had on the T side, those could be some of the rounds that have kept them in this match altogether. Now, however, Smooya looking to get aggressive. He's got to be careful. He does spot out the man on the edge of the smoke. Neither player going to go down, but a lot of utility damage seemingly coming in through the monster position. Tizian He's about to be pressured once again. Does have a little bit of support from Nex, and actually that's going to be the opening pick going the way, and the T's maybe just making the effort to fall back here. Not try and run in when the majority of the CTs are there, and try and reset this round.
I do enjoy their choices to do this. They are going to run into Xantares, though.
Well, he actually makes a sound. I wonder if they will have heard that. Seems like they didn't. Although, oh, now he's going to wait, and he's going to get the kill! Again, they turn it back into a 4 versus 4. They start their rotation over to this A site. You can see the hesitation from the CT side. This time they're going to go looking for information. They're going to take that upper B short control. So they now know that there isn't anybody here, and they can gamble on this aspect. It's going to be that AWP and M4 set up on long. Smoke going to be falling deep, which will actually isolate Captain, giving them another entry pick. And Smooya, he's going to be the only defender now. There is a man coming in from behind, but Lau is ready and waiting. They are patient, watching for this player to come in. Another player executed with only 25 seconds left. Smooya, he has to be a hero, and he's going to fall as well. It's left all onto Tizian. A 1 versus 3 with only 15 seconds left. The bomb is going to be planted. There's nothing that he can do about that. This has to be the clutch. Otherwise, Big are going home.
Tizian falls down to 11 at the hand of that HE, so he's already going to be in an even more vulnerable position. Bomb timer is going down as Riders are moments away from a potential map point here. They do outnumber, starting to clear the ways, and Riders getting the victory and putting this in the bag, not just for the map, but the entire series, sending home one of the favorites for this tournament and securing their spot on their home soil and proving that they deserve to be here.
There's not many situations where I like being wrong, but this is definitely one of them. That was massively impressive. Pure resilience shown by the squad. Remember, they were 15-14 down and managed to win a round with a scout and a few pistols. Like, they really have impressed already in this tournament, and we're only into the second day. They've got another best of 3 to play later on, but they've already eliminated Big, which is, I think, something that not many people will have expected going into this tournament. We haven't seen too much from them. The leadership of Steel clearly bringing this team to new life, and I have to say, that is one of the most enjoyable matches I've watched in a long time. Back and forward, really good Counter-Strike, and hey, the Spaniards have even gone through on their home soil.
There's always that extra element of enjoyment when you have that home soil team. It's one of the great things about the Open, the fact that you have such a regional presence due to the qualifiers, and you saw everybody in the crowd doing push-ups and everything, trying to get them as hype as possible. And they have very much deserved their reasons for being this excited.
Well, the thing I'm more interested in is, I think it was Freya was wrong, Blair was wrong, Potter was wrong, Twitch chat was wrong, I was wrong. You didn't really give a prediction, but I'm going to say you were wrong too. So
I will admit I was.
I guess it was only the crowd who got that prediction right.
Yeah, so props to everybody that's watching in the crowd on your corrected prediction. But with that, I know we're going to wallow in our wrongness for a little bit and see if there's still some smiles over on the faces of those on the desk.
I think you put it there perfectly, Tom. There's not many times when we like being wrong, but this really is one of them. What an incredible showing from Movistar Riders there. And of course, Gabby was right. The crowd were right there behind them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people talk about home crowd advantage, and they really showed up, they delivered. Steel, I mean, we keep talking about this guy not just being the in-game leader, but being a hard carry. He had 55 frags in those 2 maps. And then the one player I've been trying to point out, Eastor, and with the AWP, I'm like, he needs to step up apart from Alex, and he really delivered. Winning Mirage, that AWP is in his first, I think, 10 rounds on his TD side was just dominating Big. They closed it out overtime, and again in Overpass, able to bounce back from 11-4 scoreline for Big, and then win it in overtime. Both the overtime games going the way of the underdogs. That's showing a lot of grit, a lot of tenacity, and a lot of will to win. And for Big,
It is a little bit confusing, but you're absolutely right. Man, the proactive aggression coming out of all the Movistar Riders side. There was never a moment that Big could ever get comfortable on their T side. Steel flanking 2 or 3 times throughout the entire first half. He was always putting so much pressure towards that connector, even towards the end of the half, pushing out towards long A. So he was everywhere all at once, consistently putting the pressure and making Big uncomfortable, and it really paid off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you brought it up there, Blair. Steel looked so good. And also Easter, I remember we were kind of speaking about it after the last game yesterday, and you were a little bit disappointed that he didn't show up as much, but this series, he really pulled out the bag.
Yeah, I mean, he got a little overeager at times at the AWP. We saw him overpeak a couple of times unnecessarily, but hey, if that's what's going to get you going, that's great for you, right? He really showed up. The rest of the team as well, and like Potter just mentioned, that aggression on the CD side on Overpass was just so cool. They just shut it down, and even though Big were able to answer back in overtime, they had a very fast pace being set on the T side, like quick smokes, not really allowing Movistar Riders to take control on the CD side, but they were still able to bounce back from that. A lot of clutch plays coming in their way. I was impressed.
And you could see that was going to be their game plan from the get-go. Round one, CT pistol, all 5 members of Movistar, not even watching the sights. They're like, we're going to give up A, we're going to give up B, just group together and retake together. And from the get-go, you could see that they were going to be proactive. They were never going to let Big control the pace of the game, and they were in control the entire time.
As a proud member of the whole W religion, I absolutely love watching Movistars play. The aggression makes me so happy, and what you were saying there, Potter, about them sort of determining the pace of the game, it really paid off.
Exactly. Don't let go of W, guys.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I think we touched upon as well in the pre-game segment, where we're like, play like you have nothing to lose, be aggressive, do not give respect to Big, and did not do that. They were hyper-aggressive. They were forcing Big to really dig themselves out from like rough situations, like Sevilla with the 1v2, for example. They had to clutch rounds to keep themselves in the game, and in the end, it was the Movistar Riders who came out on top, so props to them. They've proven everyone wrong, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about that second OT, because that was, for me, really impressive, as Tom alluded to before he threw to us. They were down at 15-14, sort of getting that round to take it to overtime, and then managing to close it out there. I think that's a sort of props to their mentality, but also, I think, to Steel. I mean, hopefully we'll get to speak to him a little bit after this game, but just his approach to it and being able to guide these guys through with the skill and the experience that he really has, I think was super impressive.
Oh, absolutely, and also bear in mind the fact that Spanish is not his language. It's not his main language. He's come into this team a few months back. They've been struggling a lot. Let's be honest, we all wrote them off. They were like, that performance yesterday against Crazy and Inferno, we're like, they're kind of one-dimensional. They don't have much of adaptability, but today they just showed up to play. Best of 3 series, we're like, they don't have the map pool. There's so many like reasons and factors why they shouldn't be winning, but sometimes logic just goes out the door, and Steel was the answer.
Well, speaking of which, we actually have Steel on the line. Congratulations to you. That was such an impressive performance. I bet you are incredibly happy after that win.
I am.
Smiles all round.
It was a super intense match, and as you said, I'm super happy for this win.
I kind of just want to talk to you a little bit more about the maps, because obviously that first map, that was Big's map pick. What were you kind of focusing on going in on that?
We were focusing on playing more free, because in the practices we were trying to play a perfect CS with setups and all this stuff, and after that we saw that it wasn't working, so we tried a little bit different. It was the first time that we were trying something different, and it worked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously both of those games went down to OT. That must have been so much pressure for you guys as a team. What were you kind of doing as the in-game leader in that squad to keep the guys focused and sort of relaxed in those situations?
One thing that is super cool to play with European is that they are so cold. Because of that, if we have to play a match that is double O3, triple O3, I know that they are super focused and nothing's gonna change. If you lose like a round that you were supposed to win, if you lose a bad clutch, I know they are super calm to keep playing the match at the best.
Steel, I know Spanish is not your first language, and I know how challenging it could be to have to speak in Spanish in the middle of those intense rounds to create some sort of different game plan. Was that how you had to do it today, or was it just you guys sticking to your game plan from the beginning to the end?
No, because when you have to play such a hard match, you have to change a little things in the middle of the match. And as you said, it's super hard for me to give a call in Spanish when it has to be something that is super difficult. But they're always helping me. So in the beginning, it was super hard because it was my first contact with Spanish language coming to Europe. So it was so hard. But right now, it's okay to play speaking Spanish.
Okay, and my question would be, if you look at your online results, right, you have some very good, stats online for your entire team as a whole. But on LAN, you've only played one. It was the Omen Atlantic Challenge, I think it was, and then, of course, yesterday's game. It seems like, even though there's not many maps you played on LAN, from what we've seen, the team seems to struggle quite a bit. What do you think the reason is from? Is it like inexperience, or?
Actually, I do not agree with that because we played a tournament which was just 2 days. In the first day, we played super great. On the second day, it was a day off for us, basically, which caused like the stats to be bad. But it was just a day off, and I fully trust my players and I fully trust my teammate. And as we showed, we are able to play a beautiful CS on LAN as well.
Yeah, it was absolutely spectacular. Just before you go, the home crowd was totally behind you in that match. Is there anything you'd like to say to them?
Thank you very much, bro. We could feel it at all the time because it was super great to be able to hear and to not hear, but you can feel the energy, you know. So thank you very much for the Spanish, and thank you everyone that is watching from home.
Well, thank you so much, Still, for joining us. We won't be just seeing you in this game. Of course, you're going to be facing up against North later on. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you then.
Thank you very much.
It's always lovely to speak to him.
I was just waiting for him to say bro, and it came out at the
it
end.
came out. We got it at the end there.
Well, he's absolutely fantastic, and I'm so looking forward to seeing them take on North later because they gave us such an unexpected run against Big. But I kind of want to talk about Big a little bit more. Obviously, this was an elimination match. This sees them go home, which we didn't expect. What do you think were some of the issues that they were kind of facing there?
Firstly, I mean, Mirage was a map pick, right? They should be way more convincing there. And on the T side, it felt like they were just going for deals unnecessarily. And they didn't have an answer to the aggression being thrown at them by Movistar, both on the Overpass CT side and on the Mirage CD side. The T side, they had a certain game plan in mind, executed, going for like slow map control and whatnot, but whenever Movistar just aggress out mid, we had that one round with Easter with the up, just pushing top of mid, getting a couple of kills. They don't have an answer to aggression. The defaults are, if they take their time, then they have just like 20 seconds remaining, they run out of time, and if they have to take the fight towards mid or early on in the round, they seem to struggle with that as well. So they need to figure out how to handle CD side aggression from other teams. And if you look at it from a holistic angle of where they stand right now, it's been 5 months, man. Like, I mean, where do you go from here? I think that's a big question that the org and the team need to ask themselves right now.
I also think that they started getting a little more flustered towards the end there. I think we could clearly see it towards that A bomb site. There was one round where Tapson had the bomb, and instead of going to the bomb plant site, the normal default site, he pushes towards truck near CT spawn and ends up dying and dropping the bomb there. And it's such a sticky situation, putting all his mates, forcing them to go for that bomb, and they ended up losing that round in a 4 versus 2 advantageous situation. So these kinds of small rounds that you should be able to win, you absolutely need to be able to close it out to give yourself an easier chance in the actual match itself, and Big were just not able to do that today.
Yes, exactly. Now, Paul, I know you've got something up for us on the drawing board. Can you give us a little look at what that is?
Yes, so we're going all the way back to Mirage here, and this is kind of a throwback. You know, we don't generally see a lot of success with the Oppers pushing forward to hold this angle from here, just because a lot of the Ts, they're throwing a lot of flashbangs preemptively to stop and push the Opper back. But we're going to see Easter, Big, get a little lazy with their utility. You can see them just holding back, not throwing any nades. I'm going to pause it here. Take a look at Alex's position here. It's so beautiful because he's just waiting for the players of Big to try to trade and kill out Easter. Alex is going to get a nice freebie here onto Tapson. Then Easter follows it up again once in middle. And this is, again, one of those proactive aggression plays coming out of Movistar Riders to get themselves into the match, give themselves an advantage. But once again, this is one of those areas of the map where Big just need to throw a little bit of utility, push back the Movistar Riders to give themselves an edge in the beginning of the round, because you look at the top of the timer board here, it was a minute 45 in the round, just right in the beginning. So yeah, I think if Big were able to use a little bit more of their utility, be a little bit more cautious around the map, Movistar Riders wouldn't have had so many openings that they did.
Which is so ironic as well, because if you look at Big, they are a team who are famous for having such great utility usage. And it's not like they don't try. They do know where to throw the smokes. They do know where to throw the flashes. It's just they don't use it at the right time. They don't seem to have a good read as to where to use that utility. They do use it. They just don't use it at the right time in the right place. So homework to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll be seeing those guys take on North later on. But this, of course, was only match 1 of the day. We've got so many more great matches coming up for you. Up next is Godsent versus Gambit Youngsters. We're going to go for a group break, but make sure you join us back after that.